Hello everybody, welcome to my channel and the video, and today we are looking at Marvel Epic Collection Ant-Man / Giant Man, Volume 1, The Man in the Anthill. Now this was the 32nd Marvel Epic Collection ever made, and it came out, I know it came out July 1st, 2015, and I just realized this right before I made this video. The last Marvel Epic Collection review I did back in February was Moon Knight Volume 1. This was the 16th ever Marvel Epic Collection that came out October 1st, 2014. So 16, 32, I don't know. 16 times 2 is 32. I just wanted to say that. This one is way bigger than the Ant-Man Wasp one. But this one I read way faster. This one didn't even take me 2 weeks because, well, number one, I've never read these stories before, but I did know about some of the villains they fought because they had future appearances. And yeah, I'm just gonna flip through and show you guys. So this is the front cover. This is the reprint of Volume 1 right before they made a Volume 2 after years and years and years. This covers issue 57 of Tales. Oh no, 47 of Tales 2 of Suspense, because this is the Wasp's first appearance. Here's how thick it is. This is not that much smaller than the Moon Knight one. Big Time Adventures with the Smallest Avenger. This is issue 49 of Tales to Astonish. God, sometimes I have Journey and the Mystery, Tales of Suspense, and Tales to Astonish mixed up. But this just collects Tales to Astonish issue 27, which was Ant-Man's first appearance before he became a superhero. And then issues 35 through 59, which are all Ant-Man / Ant-Man and the Wasp stories. This guy's called the Eraser. He transports people to another dimension by making it look like they're being erased from planet Earth. So that's the cover of issue 49 of Tales to Astonish. Volume 1, this collects stories from 1962 to 1964, $40. And here's the spine right here. Pretty much just a little bit darker shade of red than the Spider-Man ones. The mini in the cover it shows Giant Man shrinking down to Ant-Man size. Can you see that? Maybe not. Oh well. So let's open it up and see what they have us right here. Like I said, this was a reprint, so obviously there's like probably more than 32 just on this page of Epic collections that you can collect. So that's really cool that they have it there, and there's still more space to add a lot more. Epic Collection Ant-Man, Giant Man, The Man in the Anthill, Volume 1. Out of 2, probably. So you can see, made by Stan Lee and Larry Lieber. This is issue 55's cover, The Return of the Human Top, who later changes his name to Whirlwind. He was definitely my favorite villain. He's in 4 issues of this, and I forgot how entertaining he is. I actually made a complete history of video on him on my main comic channel, which I'm wanting to turn my comic channels into just one, which is this one, Super Sam 7. Anyway. So, you can see the content. There's a lot of stories in here. That's because the stories are about half the size of a normal comic. So, there's Tales to Astonish, all these issues, and what month they came out. There's the Spider-Man one, July 1964, which that was also the first appearance of the Green Goblin, right? I'm pretty sure. That's cool. I just put that together. Okay. Ant-Man, Giant Man. Alright, this is how it starts off. He shrinks down to size, and the ants are actually friendly and help him get back to his lab. They also call him Henry Pym instead of Hank Pym in this, but usually it's just the same name. It's only 6 pages. And then the return of Ant-Man. Ant-Man stops red spies and communists. That's what some of these stories are. There's a giant evil beetle to take down in one of these stories. Now with Ant-Man, he has a whole lot of powers that I never really thought of, like not just controlling ants, but being able to fly on ants, being able to he later is able to control people's shrink sizes with his mind, and he doesn't need his helmet anymore as Giant Man. He made the Giant Man one, the costume, able to shrink as well and grow. Kind of like in the cartoon Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, where he only uses his metal helmet to control ants. That's kind of what happens here eventually. And I'll be honest, even though these stories are decades old, some of them still surprised me. I thought they were going to go one way because you kind of expect this is at the time where cliches were, see, the main mastermind was the girl who was assumed kidnapped. There's one called the Protector, who is a, basically, he steals jewelry, and he makes it seem like he's going to be protecting the store afterwards. Like, he shoots a disintegrator ray, but it actually just is like a sand gun, and in the confusion, he steals their jewels. He didn't really turn their jewels into dust. Ant-Man finds him. A lot of these are really fast and just fun. Here we go. Finally, a main supervillain, Egghead. Yes, in my opinion, Ant-Man and the Wasp's greatest enemy. One of the smartest villains ever, even though he doesn't really look like much and do much. Betrayed by the ants. This is actually a really interesting story because you don't see it from Ant-Man's perspective. It's mostly from Egghead. So we get inspired by trying to steal secrets and sell them off to enemy nations. He decides to... He's able to control and communicate with ants, so he thinks the ants will betray Ant-Man and make it easy for him to capture the hero and be big in the crime gang, in the crime world. But he fails because the ants are loyal no matter what. They're his friends, and Egghead goes away. Homeless now, and no one really thinks big of him. Here's a giant beetle story. A beetle, I forget, I think he accidentally gets Ant-Man's growth formula. Oh yeah, and Ant-Man doesn't shrink like normal here yet. He has to take pills that shrink him to like 1 inch or half a foot, or then growth pills till he can get to 12 feet. And I remember the Ultimate Comics. I didn't know it came from the originals where Ant-Man can't grow, or Giant Man can't grow to over 12 feet or he'll be hurt. That's actually a thing in this, so I actually was really happy to see. The day the Ant-Man failed, yep, he actually got stopped by some criminal, but it was all a trick. Let's see if there's anything else. Voice. This guy can control people's minds with his voice. I don't know if that was the first time it ever happened in Marvel Comics. I think it was. The Master of Time, this guy. It's kind of a sad story, actually. This guy's, he got fired unfairly because he was too old, so he used his time to turn other people old and commit crimes, but he accidentally hurts his son, who was coming back to town to visit him. So he decides to give up peacefully. The end. And this was, here we go, the Wasp's first appearance. This was a little bit weird, because we all know that in the future, they get married. I think it was Avengers issue 59. And we get a flashback to him losing his wife. Ant-Man losing his wife, so that's very surprising because I did not know that he was already married and then widowed, I guess is the saying. He meets a fellow scientist's daughter, Janet Van Dyne, and to help Ant-Man, she becomes the Wasp, and I forget what they were going after. Oh yeah, a giant monster. They managed to get him to disintegrate, I guess. Yay, the next issue, the return of Egghead, and he looks really weird in this picture. He captures the Wasp to be able to lure Ant-Man to him, and Ant-Man has to fight an anteater in a zoo. It's actually, I really like the Ant-Man story, or sorry, the Egghead story, especially this one, because look at that, the criminals he hired are actually against Egghead sometimes, because they're like, dude, you're taking too long on this, and we want to keep these robbery jewels, but you want to have this secret revenge plan against Ant-Man and his new partner. But of course, he gets defeated again. The Wasp doesn't have a stinger at the start. That's her normal powers. She has a little pin that she hits people with. Okay. This is a Cyclops. Oh, there's 2 stories about a giant Cyclops in this, and it was so boring. Hated having to read them. There's a guy who can use some control with music he plays. Here we go. This one was my most interesting one. The 2 issues with the Porcupine as the villain, because I had no idea he's actually so cool. He was an ex-scientist. He was just, I guess, not happy with his job, always not getting big raises, so he decides to make a costume from the military, or he was a army worker. And you see this suit, it has a whole bunch of quills around it that can shoot out a whole bunch of different weapons, like smoke and fire beams and glue and paste, and he can fly with it as well. That was really surprising. I never knew he had all these powers, and I don't know if he ever brings them back up again. But of course, he has no start from Ant-Man and the Wasp. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, in Tales to Astonish 49, it's also the first appearance of Giant Man. This is where he learns that he can't grow more than 12 feet, or else he won't really be able to move. And it's just a normal bad guy from a different planet. It's kind of funny to see Giant Man climbing it like King Kong or something. Okay. There we go. 50! The 50th issue. The Unbeatable Human Top. One of my favorite villain in this, even though his costume, yeah, I'm glad they did a rehaul on that, actually. So Human Top was an ice skater. I'm pretty sure he's a mutant. I'm just gonna call him a mutant because that's all you get in this volume. He has super speed. He gets captured by the cops, but they let him go because he's just a kid. He grows up to be a great ice skater, but he becomes bored of it. And some guys give him an idea to commit crimes for more money, and he actually does. He gets a new costume. Oh yeah, and every now and then, actually a lot of times, the ants actually tell Hank Pym when there's a crime going on. So that's how he gets into action as Giant Man. And yeah, the Human Top is too fast. This is the first 2-part adventure in all of Ant-Man Giant Man's history, because he manages to get away, even though, you know, he basically just treats Giant Man like a goof because he's too slow, and the Human Top is too fast. And in the Human Top's next plan, oh yeah, he makes a robot to try and capture the Human Top or practice. He has a plan to defeat the Giant Man for once and for all, but he fails because, well, let me get to the part where he fails. Yeah, they block off all of all the streets in the neighborhood that they lead him to, and eventually Giant Man gets one hit on him. He gives up. And then a bad thing happens where, I mean, I don't really care for it, so maybe it's not bad if you like it, where the Wasp has the last 5 pages of the story, which these are back after issue 50. This is when they start being full-sized issues, not just 13-page stories. And the Wasp is giving just stories randomly to people in hospitals, and they teach a lesson at the end of greed and whatnot. The Black Knight. Yeah, I had no idea the Black Knight was first off a Giant Man villain. He gets captured, he's a normal criminal, and he leaves, and he creates a formula to give wings to this horse. And he has a super special lance which can shoot lasers. And he can actually fly on the horse. And Giant Man decides to go after Black Knight. He wants revenge, yada yada yada. He has this cool visor which lets him, let me see, which lets him blind people. I did not know he had that power as well. But they eventually defeat him, but he gets away at the end. I don't think he ever returns. I think his next appearance is in the Masters of Evil in Avengers issue 6, right? This is another story. Oh, there's one of these stories where the main bad guy is named Maximus. And that's kind of cool, because that was before the Inhumans. So maybe they got the idea to name Black Bolt's brother Maximus from one of those stories. The Porcupine returns and fights Giant Man and the Wasp. He almost gets them one time, but he saves himself. He gets hit by a stinger from Porcupine or something, and he falls to the ground, but he saves himself. Okay. And yeah, that's Porcupine flying. And he gets that's how they beat him last time. They gummed up all of his quills, and he was still able to escape. So we decided to come into a fan club meeting of Giant Man and the Wasp. And these people are dressed up as his rogues, Black Knight, Whirlwind, or yeah, Human Top, Egghead. And he decides to come as the Porcupine, even though he's really old, so it's kind of weird that the kids just let him in there. He decides to gas everyone, they all get knocked out. And he also has like a Batman grapple plunger that lets him swing across buildings. Anyway, he's able to capture the Wasp and get away from Giant Man for a while. The Wasp escapes, but this was the twist I did not see coming. He actually let Wasp escape his plan so he could follow them back to their hideout, which is kind of confusing. If they know where Giant Man and the Wasp are they a little bit worried about them knowing their secret identities? Maybe the world does know their secret identities. I really never picked up on that, if they do or not in this story. Because the Wasp still tries to hide her identity in public, but maybe it's for her not to be rushed by fans. Anyway, you can see he follows them back, he hides, he tries to fight them, but he actually takes one of Giant Man's shrinking pills. He did not take a growth pill. He thought he took a growth pill, and he keeps shrinking. He took a whole bunch of them at once, and he shrinks into, apparently, death. Maybe he died, maybe he didn't. Of course he didn't, but still. I think this is the story where they give the name Maximus to the bad guy right here. The stone monster comes alive. Okay. There's this bad dictator called Toro. He wears a helmet with horns and hits people in the back, kind of like Hammerhead, but he's easily defeated. Yay, the return of the human top again. He returns. He actually escapes prison because he's been a model prisoner for all of 4 issues in between, or 3 issues in between his last appearance, huh? Anyway, he escapes. He's actually takes a growth pill in this issue and grows to the size of Giant Man with his super speed. But he gets defeated because the Wasp has the ants eat the floor beneath the human top, so he falls through and easily gets defeated. And of course he says, next time it will be different, but no. There's this villain called the Magician. He has like a bunny that he tries to get to eat Ant-Man, and he has special powers. He tries to rob fancy cruise ships and get away super quickly in this story, but Giant Man tricks him and stops him. He has a blue blimp in the air, which is, I guess, invisible to the human eye. So that's how he manages to look like he's disappearing. Okay, there's a lot in here. Sorry. Here we go, Spider-Man. Spider-Man almost does nothing in this, so A-Kid once again controls the ants to tell a lie to Giant Man and the Wasp about how Spider-Man is about to attack them. So the Wasp fights Spider-Man accidentally. He fights her. Giant Man gets involved and goes crazy. Oh yeah, and throughout this, they keep teasing a romance between them until, like, I think this issue where they finally become a couple, Giant Man and the Wasp. He actually wants to propose to her in the last issue with the Magician, but... Oh. Yeah, in the last issue with the Magician, but it just doesn't work out. I guess. So yeah, there's a lot of moments that are just teasing their relationship, even though the dialogue is kind of weird between the two. So AK, with the heroes distracted on the other side of town, is able to rob an armored car, but Spider-Man gets involved and easily defeats Egghead and calls him a fatty. And that's really it. Oh yeah, and this is when they start having the Wasp tell a story. She goes after a jewelry thief and pretends to be the Invisible Woman to stop him, but yeah, it works. It scares him and he goes and gives up the crime. The Colossus story, this is the worst one. Giant Man actually tries to be 30 feet tall, barely. For a while, he almost doesn't do anything. 30 feet tall, but he manages to still defeat the Colossus, or get him to run away. Actually, I'm surprised a lot of these stories have an alien. They just leave and say, never come to Earth, they're too powerful. And then the Magician actually returns in the little mini Wasp issue and shows that she can handle herself. And this is the first one I ever read, Tales to Astonish, was in the Hulk Omnibus, which is... I think this is the first appearance of the Hulk after his 6-issue series. At his first 6 issues, and then his appearances in the Avengers comic. And it shows him battling Giant Man because the human top tricked everybody to fighting into an abandoned town. Giant Man is a member of the Avengers ever since issue 50, I don't know, I know 58, Captain America comes and asks the Giant Man to look at that Colossus. So in 59, they're just doing their thing. The human top is out of prison, and he decides to trick them all into a giant battle. And it's actually really fun. I forgot how good this story was. And at the end you get some pictures here. Here's Hulk, Giant Man, and the Wasp. And some stuff about his powers. Oh yeah, there's the Wasp stinger. He has this little mini grapple hook, which lets him basically, like a fishing line, to tow him into a place high above him, so it doesn't take him forever to climb there. He can lift 2,000 pounds. He also has this, like, pulley system to jump off a building with, the building he lives in. So I don't really know what that's for. One is climb down slow, I guess, to get to the ground faster, but still. And then his headquarters. And some original sketches. This was in Fantastic Four issue 14, that issue where the Submariner is controlled by the Puppet Master to fight the team, but watch for the great symbols in comics: Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Thor, Iron Man, Human Torch, Ant-Man. And this is just another look at the issue 35. I wish this was the cover, the back cover. That would have been cool. The Return of Ant-Man. And here's the rest of the Epic collections that they have. I like how they have Venom. Look at that. Volumes 1, 2, and 5. Where's Thunderbolts? Oh, they just had one volume at that time. Alright. So, I'm kind of a completionist. I really didn't want to read this just because I love Marvel Comics and I love the Epic Collections. But for most other people, I mean, I really wouldn't recommend it. There's not that much in here that you really need to know after you've seen this video. Honestly, I had a good time. I actually learned a lot about the villains that like Black Knight and Porcupine. I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did read it. That's my review. I just wanted to go through here and talk about what I was thinking throughout this stuff. I actually like the first half of this more than the last half. I know the last half has more of the actual supervillains, but maybe that's just me never reading it before. Anyway, with that said, thank you for watching, and have a good day.